Welcome to Free Range, where we graze on wild ideas. Backed by popular demand is the intrepid Drake Bailey for another question and answer session. You may want to make some popcorn and buckle your seatbelt. This one will be another wild ride. Here is your host, Gail of Gaia, with her guest, Drake Bailey.
Okay, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and happy Thanksgiving if you're in America. And we're here on Thanksgiving Day. Drake and I are going to do a show, and we're going to answer as many of your questions as Drake can handle. And how you doing, Drake?
I'm having more fun than you think I might be when I answer some of these questions.
Oh, good. We're going to be in for a treat then.
Possibly.
All right. Do you have any information or intel that you'd like to let us know about before we start the questions?
Just the fact that everybody is trying to take the ideology of facts and truth and bend it according to their agenda. Other than that, what we got going on the service right now is interesting. A whole lot of things are transpiring all at the same time. Then you got the fun and games upstairs. Oh, they've been going at things like a raging nut house for about the past 3 weeks or so. And
I thought that was reserved for this planet.
Well, yeah, but that's the problem. The things here are so convoluted, so squirrely that it takes a rocket scientist to figure it out. So, you know.
Well, they should have some pretty great minds up there that should be able to handle it, I hope.
Yeah, I've been fortunate enough to deal with several of them. Pretty neat individuals, I'll tell you.
Awesome. Yeah, and I can't wait for the transition. I'm just, as are many other people. I'm ready. I'm so ready. I've been ready for years. But anyway.
I'm flipping the switch and it ain't happened, so.
Yeah. Did somebody break the switch or what?
Well, no, I'm not sure about that, but it sure got the cockroaches confused.
Yeah. You know what? I was just talking to my friend earlier, and I'm going, you know what? I was just thinking, what are the real reasons why that they're trying to impeach Trump anyway? I don't get it. I mean, at least with Clinton, we knew what he did.
Well, it's really pretty simple, okay? They have committed themselves, and they're scared to death to pull away from or stop that commitment. It's just that simple.
So they're just grasping at straws, right?
Yeah, there's nothing there, so you tell me.
I'm sick of it, though. I've had enough, okay? Quit already.
Good luck with that.
Yeah. Well, I guess they know that they're on the way down.
Yes.
So, it happens to everybody at some point in time, I guess. Unless you're being a good person or entity or whatever you want to call it. Of course, even that can happen, huh? Okay. Let's start. You ready for questions then?
Sure. Sock it to me.
All righty then. Here they come. Is there any correlation between the large number of police suicides in New York City and those who may have been knowledgeable about Weiner's, what a name, laptop and Hillary's emails?
Yeah, but that's awful superficial. It's a lot more complex, and there's a shitload more information than what anybody's being able to get a hold of. The reason they're committing suicide is they're being suicided.
Oh, more of that. Oh my God, that's just so awful.
Yeah, the hit squad's been getting overtime for all this.
Yeah, you're not kidding. Ugh. Okay, next question. What will happen to all the corruption going on in the world when we transition?
Bye-bye.
That's what I knew you would say that. We've answered that before, but anyway. What about, will it just disappear from the records or our memories, or will it still be dealt with to some extent after the transition? Will that switch really make everything change that quickly?
Well, it can make the change in terms of the way people act, in terms in relation to the corruption. and it can change the individuals as well, so that they're no longer corrupt. But the thing is that when you have a definitive history, it stays, period. So we'll still have the history of it, and that way certain people can be watched in order that it don't happen again. Just simple, not complicated.
Okay. Next question. How will the people, those that are still asleep, experience the transition? Will they know exactly what happened when we transition, or will they be in a state of confusion?
No, being awake and aware is nice. You have a pretty good idea of where it's going in what direction, and what it's going to be like when we land. The people that are not awakened and or of a nasty disposition about how things are or are going to be, will all of a sudden wake up to the fact that all of these things that they have been so concerned about have been taken care of, and that's going to, most of them are going to go, huh? They're going to have to get their chin up off the floor.
A jaw dropper, right?
Yeah, I mean, people that have had heavy exposure to theory, all right, and have adopted that theory as fact, all of a sudden it goes out the window. Because the only thing, ET keeps a very very highly detailed and accurate record. That record is the history. Thus, what's going to happen is that these people will have to be, let's say, re-educated in terms of life and direction and what things are coming that will address a portion of what they think should be done and all else. And when they see the positivity of the direction and the manner in which everything's conducted, then we're going to end up with the decent society we thought we should have. This should take no longer than just a day or two.
That's awesome. Oh my God.
I think so.
Wait. Oh my goodness. Okay. Will we have to buy our Hoover cars, or will this be a public service available to all people capable of?
There'd be a lot of people put to work converting. Just that simple. And it's not a really complicated situation, but the majority of a vehicle will be removed and tossed. It's not going to be needed anymore, okay? You'll have four wheels to land on, and the thing that hovers, that causes the hovering capability, also can be used directionally, like a rudder or something, to get you in the right direction to where you want to go. It will also operate at a certain speed limit, according to safety, etc., depending on where you're at and all that. So it's been pretty thought out pretty well.
Sounds like we're in for a lot of fun.
Well, the fun begins when they take the limitation off of the hovercraft and allow us to actually fly.
Uh-huh.
I'm going to be home in the basement watching out the window.
with a bag of popcorn, right?
Yeah, exactly. Well, you've seen the way they drive. Can you imagine those things fly? Oh my God!
I've been experiencing this in this town that I'm in. I'm going, really? You're just going to pull it right out in front of me? Really? Okay. I guess you're special. The road belongs to you.
No, what it amounts to is that certain groups of people, be they old or whatever, don't believe in the laws of physics, and therefore they exceed them regularly, and that gets really confusing for us that has to watch out for them.
Yeah, and you add to that too much for their own good, and
yeah,
a problem. Okay, can you ask Drake if the plastic bottles in which some of the water is sold, as well as the plastic containers in which food is packaged, are going to be dissolved when we go through the transition? That's a good question.
Well, some plastics, let's put it this way, it's not just plastics. Mm-hmm. I'm going to say synthetics, okay? And those things that are synthetically joined to make a product, whatever it may be.
Including our clothes, huh?
Well, they have a tendency to disengage and go back to their normal state. this is part of what happens during a transition. So some poor mother could be standing at the podium, 1 second they're fine, and the next second they're naked.
There's a few people that I would hurt my eyes, but I'd like to see it.
I asked, have you got a list? And they said, yeah, we got a list.
No, we're having a disconnection.
Yeah, I see that. And E.T. said no and started laughing. Now, I'm not sure what they have, they know what's going to go on. And they have made sure that I don't, so that I get to have the same fun with the surprise as they do.
Oh, okay. Yeah, they started interfering with us a little bit there, I think. Okay. Anyway, the next question. Speaking of that plastic stuff, I've seen some people in the Southeast who have been, Southeast Asia, that have been making, wrapping food in plant leaves.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Okay, next question is in reference to someone, and I understand this question because I've heard the same thing. Has cobra been compromised as told by sources? Is that true or is that not true?
Which has been what to where?
The cobra, the guy.
Yeah, I know cobra. I would suggest that cobra does a lot of things that boost the number of hits and the size of the crowd. And I'm not going to say anything else.
Okay, we'll leave it at that. All right. Ask Drake where we can find the signets, since nowhere on the internet could I find what would apply to what you said on the last show.
Well, the signet, you have to look up a signet. Okay, then you have to look up a talisman, and then you have to combine the two, and then you have to know what you're dealing with in order to find the correct signet that applies to that particular thing.
So it's going to take some research.
Get a book called The Runes, and it discusses an ancient language that is supposed to be a sacred language. Okay, the Celtics used and studied things of that nature for centuries, and places like Stonehenge sprang up. Now, there's some real funny shit goes on at Stonehenge.
That's what I heard. I haven't been there, but it'd be fun to
One guy was leaning against one of the uprights, one of the stones, and cop told him to get his hand off of that, and he said, F you, and the cop says, okay, well, I can do it by force. He went to grab the guy, pointed his finger at him, and the poor bastard got hit by a bolt of lightning from the stone. Not from his hand, but from the stone.
Wow.
Ooh. There was a guy that was standing on top of a step pyramid, the one that has a flat top, in the Mayan Aztec area. Mm-hmm. And he had a partially, mostly full, but partially used bottle of liquor in his hand. And this guy come up raising hell with him, and he said, why don't you get out of here? And the guy says, and he pointed that bottle at him. He was going to tell him, get off here, or I'll throw you off. He pointed the bottle at him, and bam. Sparks of lightning and shit went everywhere, and the guy landed at the bottom of the pyramid. So when you understand how these things work, and you get into the intricacies of the science dealing with our being the crown of creation, then you begin to understand some of the capability and powers that we have. Mostly these things are unknown, but if you look, they're there. Okay.
That's why we need to be educated, right?
Well, we could have a lot of fun zapping certain people into whatevers when they start stuff.
Wouldn't that be fun? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I can think of a few right now. Okay. Next question. Will we be able to quickly download talents in 4D, such as musical or artistic abilities?
No. That's not something that's downloadable in terms of the specification of talent. Talent, the ideology of talent goes to several complex biological interludes that, as I said again, and I'll say it again, most people don't have a clue to. Okay?
Probably within your DNA. Would that be safe to say?
I'm not going to tell you.
Okay. Well, I know some people just seem to have naturally are talented.
No, exactly. Now, that is a combination of the biological that I was talking about in conjunction with soul light, the energy that detects things out and about it. You can feel when you're being followed or looked at or watched. Bingo. Okay. Now, add to that a little bit of spiritual power and the configuration. And this is critical configuration of how it sets in concerns to you as the individual that initiates. Ooh. That'd keep you busy. And let's see here. You could study that one up in black magic. It's in there, better known as white magic, as the ancients used to use.
Okay.
Well,
interesting. Okay.
Magic is not just played as a deal of sleight of hand. It involves manifesting and demanifesting, both the combination of a situation, reality, and the entities involved. Ooh.
Yeah, no, I was reading at one time about magic, and they were saying that frequently there are demonic entities involved in some of that, the magician stuff.
Let me express this. Ain't no such thing as demonic. Oops.
Okay. Negative entities, would that be a better way of putting it?
Not necessarily, because what you have to do is the outlook or aspect of the concept of good and evil. What would be good in one case might be evil in another, and what might be evil in another would be good in another case. Depends on the application and the net effect and purpose of it.
Will we be going away from the good evil thing and into more of a singularity?
No, you're going to find out that there is no separation.
Oh, that's a better way of putting it. Okay, that's what I was getting at, but I didn't correct.
It happens.
Okay. Do you forecast a time after the transition that will require a lot of preparation? Advice to buy food, supplies, and gun, and 2 sounds ominous. Although I resonate to your message and have been following you since the Wilcock interview, I kind of help but think about what a slam it would be if nothing happens. This part is not a question, but it sure would help to get a nugget that confirms the hope that blows away the doubt and fear that the human race has lived with for millennia.
Well, there's one complexity involved in this, and that is whether or not we, the human race, decide that it's time to clean our nest and put things right, basically.
Okay.
If we don't do that, there's a thing called the precession of the equinoxes that takes place between whenever we absolutely fail and the next chance we get. It goes around.
7,000 years.
Only 25920 years. It's not all that long.
Oh, yes, it is. I don't want to go through that again. Okay. We better get it right this time.
Exactly.
So, okay. By the way, that cleaning up the nest thing, there's a question about that somewhere along the line here. So we'll get back to that as we move on here. Okay. Over the recent many months, I've seen Ben Fulford refer to the Gnostic Illuminati to explain the kind of world governance that we're headed for. Would that mean, for instance, the Cavendish line, which includes, did I say that correctly? Which includes the Kennedys, who are gradually emerging in social networks and interviews to take a leadership role?
I would suggest that you forget all that horse hockey and concentrate on one thing. We need to clean the nest. Why? Well, somebody didn't change the baby's diapers and it leaked.
Okay.
That, everybody knows that. I'm sure, so that'll give you an idea what most is full of.
Okay, we seem to be having a little internet trouble back occasionally.
I'm not having any problem at all. Here's a funny. Okay, it's not exactly funny, but it's to the point. and I don't know who originated it, but baby diapers and politicians are in need of regular changing for the same reason. And I rest my case.
That's a good one. I like that, Drake. That's a good one. Yes, I know what they're full
That's
of.
why I remember it. It just, it's too good to pass up.
I know what they're full of. Yes, indeed.
That's like saying you don't want to hear George Carlin. Oh, yeah, you do.
Oh,
You
yeah,
just don't know it until you hear it.
I love that guy. He's hilarious. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Drake has noted a coming revision to our Constitution. Cash money allowing privacy for purchases will go, and there is an enormous potential for social scores affecting our individual freedoms. Who says that? But anyway, the patriots' love for individual freedoms and dislike of socialism may make us bristle if we do not understand. How will the deep values of the American founding principles hold up after this transition?
Very well, because they're based on what I teach from the Bible, which are principles. Principles are a combination of things. It can be a description of a situation or somebody that's involved in something. But primarily what it holds is an applicable truth that in and of itself cannot be denied, such as the baby diapers and politicians need changed for the very same reason. They're full of the wrong thing or stuff that you don't want to smell. Okay, the same thing's true of the ideologies and theories and conspiracies. Oh boy, it goes, and the list goes on about none of this exists. Oh, why not? I haven't bumped into one. Oh, let's see what I can arrange.
Isn't universal law more simplistic than the Bible? Because the Bible is full of a lot of contradictions.
No, the legalism boils down to the principle. You heard the golden rule: do unto others as you would have them do unto you.
Yes, of course.
That basically that covers everything, pretty much. All of it, okay. Then you have to add a couple of things, and that is just because each does not mean we're not just as ugly to them. So therefore, you just don't worry about it and continue down the road.
Okay. So it went on to ask, what freedoms do we lose and what freedoms do we gain? It would seem to me that we would gain more than we would lose. We'd be losing more of what's bad and gaining more of what's good. But let's have your take.
The things that don't fit, never have, and shouldn't have been included will go. The things that need to be expanded upon will be. I'll leave it at that.
Okay. Well, that makes sense. That's a good answer. Okay. What is the latest new intel on the takedown of the Mexican drug cartel?
They're right at the very edge of getting hit militarily by the full force of the United States military, and I suggest that they make arrangements to get the hell out of Mexico now. This is all highly classified stuff, but there it is.
Okay. Well, we have the Mexican drug cartel, but I know that the Mexican drug cartel is not the only drug cartel around. I'm sure there's
Chinese, Indian, and by that I mean, from all over the world.
Let's not discriminate.
It's an easy access to one of the biggest markets they got. And what we're going to do is if we shut that down, or when, it's not an if, when we shut that down, that will change all of that. The fentanyl won't be available. And then they got a new one that's synthetic that's 10 to 100 times as strong as fentanyl. Oh, boy. Look at it and you get stoned out of your mind for a week,
My goodness.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes living in this on this planet is enough to make anybody want to get stoned, but that's just or some have something to change your reality a little bit. I can understand that. So, unfortunately, then many times people get addicted to it, and that's a problem.
Yeah.
So, okay, this is an interesting little tidbit that I'll read. in order to get you to, and then go for your answer, because it kind of, there's a little bit of background here, okay? My good friend Bruce, a highly intelligent astronomer, worked for NASA in the 80s and was seduced into the dark agenda. His human rights have been violated on every level, as he was threatened, implanted, and his free will usurped many times. And although he recovered a little of his true self in 2016, lately he has been heavily drained of his life force and his mind. He is a mighty being who came here to learn about evil, and he has been into the pit of it. Does Drake know of rehabilitation programs to help people who have been abused and used in this way?
Yeah.
Okay. Could you expand on that a little?
The first thing is that the individual involved that is having that kind of collateral damage is going to have to move physically away from where they're at. Number two, they're going to have to leave everything that has to do with them where they left from. Number two, there's only 3 or 4 places on the planet that deal with that. And they can be found when the person does their own research correctly. I'm not going to say where. I've been requested not to, so I ain't saying. But there's, like I say, maybe half a dozen places where you can look at them like a lot of naturopaths stipulate that that if you go to a certain place, you find healing qualities. That's where you want to start looking.
Okay. I know what you're talking about. I know. All right. And so with a little research, you'll be able to find that out.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, when the switch happens, our bodies will they be whole and healthy? I think we've asked.
Yes. What you're going to find is that a whole lot of the old-fashioned creepy shit, like old age and fun things of that nature, ain't there anymore. Arthritis, tennis elbow, whatever, carpal tunnel. Now, this is not only true on the physical basis I'm describing, but also in your mind.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, because that gets screwed up too with some of the stuff that goes on this planet.
I have been told for several years now that I'm not only just a sandwich shy of lunch, but that my screws is loose too.
I'm sure they say the same thing about me.
Oh, I have no idea, but I can tell you this, the tinfoil hat I have, and I'll get that out one day. It's got style. And that's all I'm going to say.
Well, see, I put it under my hat. So just kidding. Well, no, actually, that's a good idea. Anyway, what number is the highest dimension we can go up to in terms of the creator and the universe?
Well, you can't get to the creator because he no longer participates in what we're doing. Well, to fully initiate the powers of a creator, you have to leave the tree of life. In order to do that, you've got to be ready. You have to have all your goodies exactly the way it's supposed to be in a perfection, or you can't do it. Okay. In terms of being able to go to higher dimensions, I have been all the way to the point where I saw the great pools of soul life and spirit that are drawn from in order to create a being.
Wow.
I've been all the way as far as it goes. I asked a couple of the individuals that were there doing things, what exactly is it that is the limitation? And they told me that I'd have to really work on this one. You have to ask the creator. And being able to converse with something that is no longer a part of your existence is extraordinarily difficult. So I did, and I was told whom to ask about what I did, and I have as many of the answers as I feel I need. I don't feel that I need any more answers other than what I can do to help caused the transition to come about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we would hope that that idea of going higher and higher and higher isn't to be, to lord it over, because that's not.
Well, what you've got a certain number of basics. Within each of those, you have almost an infinite number of different levels, different aspects, this, that, and the other thing. So,
And there's no skipping grades, right? And there's no skipping dimensions or grades until
right, exactly. You have to progress in a pretty much scientific means in a numeric manner, or all becomes null and void.
That makes sense. Okay. Will we be living in the future in every kind of galaxy that there are in our universe and being born into them?
If you're born into it, that's home. That's where you are. Each of the individual galaxies are there for a combination of reasons. One of those, you have physical orientation, and it's very simple to prove physical orientation. Most people are guided by their visual relation to something. The desk is right here, the camera's right there, that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. If you really want to experiment with it, and it's a lot of fun, learn to balance on one foot. Get your balance, get it where you're comfortable, no problem. Then, when you're right at the height and the peak of being calm, cool, and collected and no problem with it, close your eyes. Oops. When you lose that visual orientation, usually you fall over. And there are two things you need to understand. And it was outed in a Claude Van Damme movie. You do not see with your eyes. You see with your mind. And you can learn how to visualize past the physical limitations. You're going to be seeing things that other people don't even know is there. And it's a real trip.
I bet. That's where that's one of the things that I think yoga helps people with to a certain extent. Some of that balancing stuff. Anyway, okay. What level of advancement in civilizations as humans do we rank in terms of advancement, or are we just infants?
0.
That's pretty.
We haven't gone anywhere much. We came out of the caves, out from under the rocks, and in this 3D environment, it's a test tube, as I've stipulated before, and they not only got you, but you're squeezing that mother, trying to see what pops out when you get, okay. So that, in all of it, and all of that essence, all of the collateral, all of the horse hockey goes with it, ends when the transition takes place. Bingo.
Yay! Okay. Has the plan changed, or is it the same as you described during your 2012 interview with David Wilcock?
You talking about the brain?
The plan.
No, it hasn't changed. Can't. It's basically a record of what happened, why, and who's responsible and what needs to be done about it. That's basically the plan. And it has been being updated. And I'm not talking about changing the past portions of it. I'm talking about new input, new information from differing sources, okay? It has not really changed all that much since it started back when, in terms of politicians are similar to liars, scum-sucking crooks.
Professional liars.
That too.
Yeah. Okay. Parasites. Okay. That's why I was just talking to that about somebody else. It says, like when you get a divorce, you'll get the attorneys. They like you to fight more because it means more money for them.
Exactly.
Okay. Who will be making the mass arrests? Is it the sheriffs, local state?
It's going to be a combination of all the good guys that are good guys.
Yeah. No any of the bad guys involved.
Well, it could be a situation where the only crook It's the sheriff. Well, that means his patrolman arrest him. If it's the sheriff is the only good guy and the rest of them are crooks, he might need a little help, and he'll just make a phone call and bingo. It could be that the whole friggin' thing is nasty and needs to go. Well, the the ideology of enforcement can never be done by force, ever. A person convinced against their will is of the same opinion still. That's something everybody needs to put on the mirror so they see it every morning. What that means is that you can't coerce things into existence that the individual you're dealing with can't handle or won't allow. Okay, so what do? You find out what that person's weak spot is in their reasoning and keep requesting that they qualify it. You won't be able to qualify a lie. Why? It doesn't exist. It's based on fun and games. My show on Saturday covers a whole lot of things. The title of it is Fact. I'll have fun with it. The thing about it is that too many people think that what they hear is gospel when it ain't.
Yeah.
Just that simple.
And then the other aspect of this is, and this is an old saying, Drake, and I think it still applies today, either you're part of the solution or you're part of the problem.
Yeah.
So, okay, onward. Let's see. You went on to ask, and I don't know if this comes up with a question, but I'll just read through it real quick. Is it sheriffs, local, state, and federal law enforcement, or the good guys and patriots in the CIA, FBI, ATF, the military branches, ICE agents and special forces, Homeland Security agents, the Pentagon, Department of Homeland Security, federal marshals, state marshals, and geez, that's a lot, has been the holdup of Attorney General William Barr releasing the FISA declassification? Why hasn't that happened?
No. The reason that hasn't happened is that they changed their tune and decided to release the facts, figures, and fun and games at the time of the arrest of the individuals who are guilty of screwing up our country, the Constitution, going after the office of the president instead of just the man who happens to occupy it, and a whole load of other things. But bear that in mind.
Because this goes all the way down from the president's office, going off to that office, to the court systems and the judges.
It goes through the whole system. I use that word loosely.
Yeah. Okay. Can more information be shared on the details of the process on how these accounts would be distributed, managed, and how to apply or submit projects and such? And they're talking about the collateral accounts.
Yeah.
I must have copied and pasted that and missed a sentence, but that's what they were talking about, the collateral account. Yeah. Is there a way you submit something, the project?
It is not going to be a request system. It's going to be a needs-based system. Those who need the most help the worst, get it first. That does not mean that you're going to get all of a sudden going to go from dirt floors to a palace and become uber rich. That's not what this is about. What it's about is seeing to the needs of individuals. Now, one of the primary needs is for the individual to have something, doesn't matter what it is, that they like well enough to do as much as they can of, and they enjoy the process. Now, think about somebody coming up with a job that fits that description for an individual.
Well, see, the thing of it is, though, Drake, that I see there is there's a certain hierarchy of needs. You have to have shelter and food and certain things before you can think about a job.
That's the basis of it.
Yeah.
Okay. You take care of the needs first. Mm-hmm. Then the wannabes come into play, and they come out from everywhere. And like I said, there is an entry exam for technical colleges, all right, and technicians, not just technical college, but technicians, scientists, etc. That covers every aspect of what you're looking to go into and whether or not you fit into that. If not, they will probably come up with something that you didn't maybe even think about, but you like doing.
Yeah, but that's
And they'll
important.
stick you in there and see how it goes. If you just go, if you just lose your mind and you're up 24/7, chuggy, just doing it, going like crazy,
Mhm.
you got it. Now think about, and you'll love this, doing something you like, having everything you need, any needs that you have in order to do it supplied. Okay.
No more starving artists. They won't be starving.
And everybody will have a place to live. Think about this very carefully. Along with a replicator, you can get your clean clothes that way. Oh, and you should see the shower system they got. Ooh, that thing is awesome.
Tell us.
It feeds you down to the cellular level. Oh yeah, it does things you would not believe. One person I know that was selected for an experimental group, every bit of hair on that person fell out, just gone. And he said he didn't like that very much. I mean, that allows certain things to get cold that you don't want to get cold and that sort of deal. And what's up with that? They said, be patient. What do you mean? It takes about 3 days and you'll see what we mean. 3 days later, the guy shows up and he's got all his normal hair and everything right where it's supposed to be and the amount it's supposed to be. Everything's cool. And he has his lifespan restored. He doesn't have any ills expand. So, pretty lovely.
Interesting. Wow. Okay,
Yeah.
that's cool. Let's see. Okay, Drake, you ought to post on the November 25th about extreme happenings. Drake, when this happens, do you really think Americans will be naive enough to believe what you are saying? Okay, this is being negative. So anyway, go on. If China is 50 trillion in debt and have more debt and are so broke, then what about the fact that they own most of the gold? Also, you did make claims of changes close to this quite a few years ago and nothing happened. Do you think Deutsche Bank will have something to do with all of this?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Deutsche Bank falls over. That wipes out Europe. Number two, China, Russia, all the major powers, to include us, are somewhere in the neighborhood of 100 times over our capability to handle any debt that we have. So there goes your total. Oh God, the banks are going to collapse. Yeah, really? Well, I keep telling people, don't leave your money in the bank. Take it out, stick it under a mattress, get a coffee can buried in a bed, whatever. Keep your cash on hand, other than what you need to pay bills or whatever. If within that process you are situated correctly and you use your noodle for something other than a hat rack, you'll be able to research out private individuals whom will sell you small quantities of gold and silver. They're not expensive, really expensive in small quantities. The going price is 100. Okay, it's a tenth of that. Real simple.
So bark from a tree probably will go away in terms of its value.
Yeah, and the thing about it is that until such time as it is announced that all the fiat currencies are dead and stinking, they're still viable, especially in a locality such as the United States greenback. It may still be used here for quite some time. We'll see.
Okay. Do you think that if this happens, Drake, being that we are the most armed nation on the planet, that Americans will take this lying down if they can't get to their banks? And what will it mean for social chaos and riots? Is there a plan?
Yeah, but that plan won't be initiated until such time as it's needed. What you have to understand is that none of this stuff's going to happen suddenly overnight. Your banks are all closed. That's not going to happen suddenly like that unless we're preparing for the transition. Now, I've stipulated the difference. For preparation for the transition, you're going to find several things happen. Number one, as we transition in what would be considered evaluatable currencies, and that's different from gold, silver, money, whatever, paper money, whatever. Until we get to that point, the banks can close at any time. There's no restriction on it, pretty much. It takes 3 days to shut down. It takes 4 days to reinitiate and reprogram and get everything ready. Okay, so now you got this many, right? You got 3 and 4 days, and then you got another 3 days. Ooh, what's that come up to? That comes up to 9 or 10 days, which is primarily 2 weeks. A 2-week period where your finance don't work. That's why I say keep some cash in under the mattress, in a coffee can in the backyard, so that you can function. Now, let's go to the second part of this. When it reopens, you're going to find that there is a new currency, and it's going to have a gold stripe on it, and it will be slowly used to replace our Federal Reserve note. Now, this is a note, but it's a GCR note, Global Currency Reset note. That's the differential. The United States will probably be the first to do it because we're the most capable of doing so. So when you start seeing that, and you may not even be notified, they may not shut squat down. Think about that very carefully. They may not tell nobody. All of a sudden you start getting these monopoly. Is this monopoly money or is this good money? So, well, that's great money. Well, the deal is this. What are you paying for a loaf of bread? $2.50 to $5? Okay. I remember back in the day you could get fresh bread 3 for $1. Think about that sort of thing coming to pass for the simple fact that the new currencies are equity. That's a big plus, equity instead of debt. Big difference. So, changes the whole deal.
Yeah, the bank stole our equity. That's what happened. Okay.
Yep.
Next question. Also, China has had huge trade surpluses with the U.S., stealing intellectual property, piracies. What debt does China have?
Do what now?
Okay, this was kind of a continuation on what was.
Yeah, well, go ahead.
About China. Don't they have huge trade surpluses with the U.S.? They've been stealing intellectual property, different piracies, and what debt does China have? They must have big debt.
Well, you got to get the money to do what you're talking about somewhere, don't you? What happens if you don't have enough liquidity in your currency reserve in a country to take the action you want to take? You go to International Monetary Fund, World Bank, etc., and you get the money. You borrow the money. Well, when you had interest to that money, you borrow. Say you borrow $1 trillion. And you're not able to ever pay it. That's what our United States budgetary process, all they're doing is renegotiating our bankruptcy.
Yes, that's
okay. So same thing's true of all other countries that are using or based on or involved with Keynesian economics. That is an economic system that is designed to fail. And we are in the failure stage presently. Okay?
Right. I know what you're talking about. Okay. It doesn't sound as though, here's the next question. It doesn't sound as though Trump heeds the military, Navy, white hats very much. There have been suggestions that he is a puppet for the black nobility and the Jesuits, who have supposedly sown division by pushing the socialist agenda on the left side and convincing many patriots and federalists on the right that Trump is their only hope toward liberation from the New World Order.
It is. He is. And the problem is that they don't have any foundation for anything that they're talking about. They think I'm full of conspiracy theory. They ought to take a close look at what they're talking about. Black nobility hates Trump. Why? Well, because he's going about resetting the stage to the point where human equity, that you're not spinning your wheels working all your life, just to fall off at the end, but rather you're working your whole life so that your offspring can then rise from that and do better than you did. And that's the ideology of most parents. They would like today. I mean, everybody's squawking about this, that, and the other thing, but primarily inequality. Most parents today would like to see their kids do anywhere near as well as they've done.
Exactly. I thank you for saying that, because I feel like my parents did much better than I did. And I was the one with the education. They didn't even have education.
We did not have the debt and problems then that we do now. The reason we have the problems and debt we do now is because it's been, and you'll love this, artificially manufactured.
Okay. All right. Next comment. This is a little bit of what I consider Trump bashing. And I feel like he's doing a lot more than people give him credit for. I don't get the impression that he does very much in terms of standing up to the socialist-crats, except via Twitter and Fox News. What's your take on this?
It's pretty simple. That big "it" with the 2 letters missing ain't hit the rotating oscillator yet, but it's coming.
Okay. All right. Okay. Oh, here's this question that I referred to in the beginning. What specifically do you mean when you say we need to clean our own nests for the transition to 4D? Does this mean we need to identify and release our fears, prejudices, and beliefs?
No. What it means is that we need to take the righteousness that is the basis of a combination of the good part of our Constitution and the reason for the laws contained in it, and apply them to an extent where, as I said before, politicians and baby diapers need to be changed for the same reason. That is the cleaning of the nest. Now, in a couple of cases, we've had leakages, and I don't think that rubbing somebody's nose in it is effective. I think they ought to lick it up off the floor.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Well, that same principle needs to apply in the courts and with the attorneys and so on too. But that's a big job there.
No.
All right. The next thing, again, I got a little bit to read here, so bear with me. Over the last few months, I have felt a need to separate more and more from the public, including my family, parents, and siblings, except when I need to go to work. 3D life and feeling emptier than ever these days. Yet I still need to earn an income and work with colleagues. However long that lasts, the transition must be doing its stuff, because I feel some of it's already kicked in.
Yes.
In the last show, someone asked if we would see our deceased. Oh, that's on to another side. So you're confirming that some of it is starting to kick in already. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's leaky, just like that diaper. Only this is a sweet smeller.
Okay. In the last show, someone asked if we would see our deceased relatives in the 4D transition. Drake affirmed the question that we will see our crossover family, friends, and pets. Will we reunite with just those from this life, this incarnation, or also those we've known from all of our past lives?
Let's deal with this life first.
One thing at a time. Yeah.
We'll get to the other stuff when you get ready for graduation, okay?
Yeah. Be too overwhelming, my goodness. Okay, please ask Drake about the plasma shell around the Earth, or the firewall. What's up with that?
Oh boy, what's up with that? Everybody's heard about the ice wall that supposedly protects us. Everybody has also heard about the new matrix that protects us. People have heard about the large number of extraterrestrial beings that are up above watching over things, making sure the bad guys can't get in and all that. Mm-hmm. All of these things work in conjunction with each other. There is an intrinsic balance within that that deals with Vesica Pisces in full-fledged 4D. Now, I'm not talking about the dimension, but the dimensions. And the fourth dimension everybody mentions is time when it ain't. It's duration. Well, this is supposed to be permanently duratable, meaning that once the course is cast in the direction that we're going to be going, it is not something it can be fooled with. And the reason being is that the Creator backs it up with all of the power of creation. Ooh.
Ooh, that's great. That's wonderful. That's good news. Okay. Why is Trump working so hard trying to convince American people to vote for him if we're going to transition?
Simple. We're going to have him for a couple of years to keep things straight and keep a Gestapo boot on the bad guys' throats.
Okay. That makes sense. He said his father was, this is you. Drake said his father was wearing the same outfit that he died in. How many years was he wearing that outfit? What if you're cremated? He's come up with some of the weirdest questions I've ever.
Okay. In the Matrix, they had a virtual memory of how you looked. That was one of the first things discussed. How come I look the same? I'm wearing the same clothes. Well, same thing applies in terms of this. The ideology is that this is the manner in which you remember an individual, okay? And that individual doesn't have any problem complying. You know, if he's wearing shorts and a short sleeve shirt because it was hot, that's what they was wearing. Okay. The neat part about it is that over a period of time, you'll find that these people do change clothes, but they don't do it in the manner that everybody thinks. It's not what you perceive so much as what you actually end up with. Now, individuals that transition to the higher dimension through death are having a lot of fun for one simple fact. They know everything. All of the secret horse hockey between these nasties that were just, let's see how much money he's got left when he dies kind of people, and the people who really give a shit as to their condition and well-being and all that. Big difference. And the person that has transitioned, as I said, and I'll say again, they know everything. Left one. She said, I know everything. So there it is. Hey.
That's awesome. And that's what we'll do too when we get there.
Yeah, I just got one of them warnings. My internet connection is unstable. Right.
Boy.
I think the government's screwing with us. Go ahead.
A little bit too, yeah. Okay. Drake speaks about getting silver coins, water, food. Is this before the transition or are these needed after the transition?
Well, we're going to use, things are going to change after the transition, but it's going to take about a year. I would suggest silver and gold coin and or the new GCR currencies.
Okay.
Each and every last one of them has a gold stripe.
Mm-hmm. Well, will you be able to, what was that, a moth?
It's some kind of a bug. I'm going to kill it.
Okay.
It tried to fly up my nose a minute ago. I can't be having that. Come on, land somewhere where you're...
Alrighty then. Okay.
Kill.
Oh, he went to hide now. He knows you're after him. Those bugs are smarter than you think.
I look at those things like a politician. They fly in your ear. You know how a mosquito sounds like a B-52 going, well...
Just like a fly. All of a sudden you get a fly swatter out and where'd it go?
Smart fly. He landed somewhere and he's going, you think I'm that stupid.
Yeah. Well,
I got educated bugs and mosquitoes anyway, so... That one tried to fly up my nose before we started the show. And I took a smack at him and missed, and he flew away. Well, he's back, or he was.
I'm back.
You know that little roll you get on a magazine when you turn the pages around to a certain point where you want it? He went inside that, so I kind of closed it up full length. We'll see. I don't see him coming back out, so apparently I got him.
Okay. Okay, here's another question. If opting to replace bone prosthesis with new accelerated bone growth, will the huge scar tissues vanish and be replaced with normal tissue?
Yes.
Okay.
You ain't gonna notice the difference between what you end up with and the original.
Okay.
Won't be able to tell.
Alrighty, that's good news, of course. Like some football players and boxers, will brain damage from concussions be eliminated or corrected? Of course.
Both.
Yes. Will we use the box material that held the replicators be used for housing building material?
The big ones will be limited in terms of the people allowed to use them, but yes.
Okay.
And don't expect the building materials to be what you think they're supposed to be. Drywall is out of here, among other things.
What about a hempcrete?
Hempcrete? No, this is even better than hempcrete. Makes hempcrete look like some kind of funky box filler.
Okay. Well, good. Whatever they got, I'm sure it is better. But anyway, okay. Will replicators sterilize replicated water?
Absolutely. Anything that goes through the replicator has a biofilter. You remember the transporter in Star Trek? Okay, it's got a biofilter. That biofilter filters out anything and everything that's not supposed to be there.
Cool. Okay. And will there be enough water for a bath or shower? Or do we need to shower in 4D? Do we still stink? No.
Bath, not as much. Baths and showers and things like that are going to be drastically and dramatically changed. You'll walk into I'll use this a shower room. It's like a jump room or a closet with a door on both ends, right? And it's a certain length. You open the door. Now you went in naked. You open the door, close the door. You walk to the other door, open the door, walk outside, close the door, and you're done.
Done. And you didn't feel a thing, right?
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, I'm not sure if you can add feelings to it or not. I'd have to ask about that. That would be interesting.
Okay. Oh.
Think about getting filled up by him. My shower filled me up. I'm not sure how to you know.
I was molested by the shower. No. Okay. Will those past family members become regular family members again as younger 4D people?
No. The same age that they were when they went is what they end up to be in 4D.
Okay, now this is a very strange question.
Cool, I'm strange. Go for it.
Okay. How old will babies and aborted babies and young children be if they appear to us in 4D?
Well, that which is dead. The resurrection is not a part of the health program until you get to a certain level. As far as regular old babies and whatnot, if they was a baby right now and they transitioned right now, it'd still be whatever it was before. Might not be as shitty as it might not fill his diaper as much, or whatever. Who knows?
Okay, I guess if we're getting at aborted fetuses being
dismembered, yeah. Well, that stuff's gone.
Soul infused.
It's not going to happen anymore.
Okay. All right. Can we shift to the true alien appearances in 4D to look like and connect with our galactic family?
No.
Okay. Will we still be going through all of the bodily functions in 4D, like eating, eliminating, sleeping, procreating?
As far as I get it, you're not going to notice that much difference, except that things will operate better.
No, that's nice.
Whether that's taking a dump or having sex, they didn't say. They just said things will operate better.
Well, that's a good answer. Okay. Well, I think we already answered this question. Will replicators be able to make water? Yes.
Yeah. It's not easy.
Okay. For transitioning and learning and preparing, how will knowledge be uploaded?
It's a combination of the same thing that you saw in the Matrix, which has been common since the late 50s on a technological basis, straight up. where they have what's called sleep learning, and they have what they call trans learning, which is where you go into a transient state for a very short period of time, just like you saw in the Matrix. I need to know how to fly this helicopter. Okay, hold on. Bzzz. And the person just kind of stands there, and when it's done, okay, all done now. Thank you, and they do their thing. Knowledge is transferable directly, but the problem is having the vessel capability to hold it. This is why there is this thing called universal knowledge, where everything is known is available to those who know how to access it.
Yeah. Universal mind.
Yeah.
Okay. How do you find your galactic lineage? If you associate with cats, could it mean that you're aligned with the, how do you say this, Lyrans or Lyrans? Lyran.
Yeah, it could be straight up feline. There is a race, or whatever you want to call it, known as, we call it feline. But the thing, you're not going to be finding that to be extremely easy all at once. Suddenly after we're in 4D, you will have classes on all this. Okay.
Okay. How much more percentage does the collective need to wake up so we can be on our merry way to 4D and 5D?
Oh, 15 to 20%.
Where are we at?
We're about 12.
Oh, so we're not too far.
No, we're not doing too bad. Here's the deal. The balance of those who disagree with being woke are the problems in that they have actually attached the political to the id and now believe it is an absolute. And that's a problem. I'm not going to get into how it's fixable. I'm not going to get into how because it would take a long time to explain.
Okay. All right. Are we in a void right now waiting to cross back into our original timeline from a Draco timeline?
We were never in a Draco timeline. It's not possible for the whole of our timelines to progress in that nature. But in order to for us to recoup what we've lost, there has to be a considerable number of people aware of the capability. Once that happens, then we can do what needs to be done in terms of adjustments and that sort of thing.
We need to have people spread around these shows more often.
Yeah, that'll work.
Okay. I'm seeing reports in the alternative media that another attempt has been made on President Trump's life recently via poisoning his food. And that is why he made an unscheduled trip to Walter Reed Hospital. Is that true?
Well, the trip to the hospital was standard and coming up anyway, so he was headed that way, and why not? As far as his poisoned food, he has lost a lot of taste testers.
Oh, my God, that's terrible. That's terrible.
Is it? I think it's a good thing because these people volunteer their lives just like a person that goes into the service volunteers, okay, to expand if necessary, all right? So they volunteer to do this, and the service they provide is pretty much over the top, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's what I meant by that is that there's so many attempts to harm him. That's what I'm really getting at, and yes, I agree with you on that.
And they have multiplied and accelerated recently.
Wow. That's so sick.
It's no big deal. Sounds like it's not, but take my word for it. You'll see what I mean shortly.
Okay. If that is true, what about the many layers of protection, including ETs? Where were they while this was happening? Why, like...
Who you think told him to have his cheeseburger taste tested? Come on now, y'all. You got to think. I know. Why do they call it common sense? Well, it seems to be so rare. I love that. I got that. That's a little magnet we got stuck on the fridge.
I don't know what's happened, but something's happened to that. Too much propaganda, I guess.
There you go.
If that is true, would that not merit an acceleration of the plan?
The plan is interesting in that it is multiplying. I'm not going to say nothing else.
Multiplying. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Think about it from a nasty, crooked place as to what's taking place. It's coming after you.
Okay.
I hope they have nightmares.
Really? Okay. This is a very dangerous game. The Patriots are playing with the plan, and the other side don't cheat fair.
Yeah.
To use one of your sayings, these deep state dark cabal people are like desperate cornered animals, making them very dangerous and willing to do anything to win.
We most certainly are, and we're better armed.
And we're ready, right?
Exactly.
Okay. When we transition, will our vision and or hearing change in any way?
Yeah, it'll go back to where it's supposed to always have been.
Oh,
Perfect.
so I won't have to go anymore. I'm in my hearing and yeah, it's not as good as it used to be, that's for sure. Anyway, ETs that are currently outside our visual spectrum and are able to see through their holographic human disguises. Is that right? What can we expect?
Well, there's a holographic projector that is commonly used that will make an ET reptilian look like a human. And that's one of the things the bad guys are consistently using. The only problem is that the harmonic frequency on this planet for electricity is 60 cycles per second, and it screws with that holographic projection that they use. Oops.
Yeah, and it's changing too. I think the energies on the planet every once in a while are really like just a couple days ago. I mean, if you look at the Schumann resonance and it just seemed like people were at each other's throats over every little thing. It was like really on edge. People were on edge, and sometimes it seems like those kind of energies are happening more often. So I don't know exactly how that
Yeah, and at the end of the argument, you look at that other person in the eye and you say, F you and anybody that looks like you. Yeah.
And then the next day you go, God, I'm really sorry. I didn't really mean that.
No, you come up, if you're smart, you come up and you ask, did I really say that shit? And about that time you get somebody going, you sure did, you rotten. The divorce starts tomorrow, or however it works.
Oh my God, that's so true. That's
Hey.
Oh, that's funny. Okay. Seems like I have a glitch there. Okay. When we transition, will things like missing, replaced teeth and artificial joints be repaired or replaced? Or must we wait for the med beds and new technologies or biospheres?
No. Well, it depends on what it is and how it has been affected. Okay. Yes, and no, you won't need all the other happy extras unless there's something intrinsically wrong that they have to go in and change a whole bunch of DNA in order to fix. That's where you get into the biospheres. Normally, no. You can go to a healing station and get, new knee joints, new butthole, whatever it is you got to have.
Well, see, like if you had a replacement joint, or if you had dentures, or if you had something like that, are those just going to fall apart and you won't have them anymore?
Well, they can naturally. That is a part of the medical screening that everybody gets to go through. And what's neat about it is that all the artificials are replaced with what was supposed to have been there naturally before. That usually means an improvement over whatever artificial thingamabob they're using, and much better, and a whole world better than what you had in terms of what failed.
Yeah, like if somebody had a hip replacement and all of a sudden that part is gone, I mean, they'd be on the floor. That would.
Exactly.
Okay. All right. Next question. My father-in-law is about 85 years old, and his health has deteriorated rapidly in the last few years to the point he doesn't walk well and is losing control of certain bodily functions that I won't gross out the audience detailing. Thank you. Okay. That happens to a lot of people, unfortunately. Will he get relief? This answer, we already know the answer to this. Will he get relief in any way when the transition prior to the availability of new medical technologies? We really just answered that question.
It's going to be something along the line, if it's not too super extraordinarily severe, it'll be more or less like flipping that switch, as in poof, and everything's all but. I kiss it, make it better. Come on now.
Okay. There's another question almost exactly the same, so I'm not going to go back to that one. Since Satan, Lucifer, isn't what we're taught publicly, what about demons and or fallen angels? Is that concept true? And what are they really?
Demons don't exist, and angels are ETs.
Okay. Yeah. Are they a threat?
No. Well, let's put it this way. If something don't exist, that takes all the demons and funky monkeys out of the picture. Then angels are supposed to be good guy messengers, so they can't be dangerous.
Exactly. And there's no hell anyway. I mean, even the Pope has come out and said that.
Yeah.
Even though I wouldn't trust him any farther than I could throw him. But anyway.
I heard he smells funny, too.
I bet. Okay. You said that 2/3 of the House must vote to impeach before it goes to the Senate. Everything I've read said it must be a simple majority to send it to the Senate for a trial, and that 2/3 of the Senate must vote to convict. What am I missing here?
Nothing. That's correct.
Oh, okay.
The only problem is getting a straight up majority. There is a great schism or fracturing in the Democratic Party. You have a majority of moderates, and I mean that is well stated as the definition of the word. That is primarily a Democratic conservative. They're not really interested in it, and they don't want it. Now, if your majority in the House says no, you're done.
Well, I hope they're done anyway. I'm so sick of this crap. Excuse me.
We haven't started the political season yet. Come on now. The campaign's just getting cranked up.
Politics.
They want to carpet bomb the population with political ads and screw up your mind.
Oh, geez. I don't even pay attention anymore. Then you said that the Senate will vote on treason charges for all those involved in this coup against the president and his office. How will that come to pass?
Well, that'll come to pass after they take up the majority vote from the House that stipulates that they will have a treason trial. The Chief Justice will stipulate that there is insufficient evidence and rule the trial null and void. At that point, that means that these people have perpetrated a frivolous legal action, and you don't do that at that level. Now, you're talking a couple of days after null and void comes out. All of a sudden, Barr should be delivering a whole humongous load. And I'm talking a terrain load, not just one little truck. I'm talking about 2 to 3 semi boxes on each car of a humongously long freight train, and they're full of indictments that carry arrest warrants because they are treasonous charges, and because of the level of the treason, these poor stupids lose all of their rights. Ooh, that's going to be fun. Can you imagine getting away with torturing some of these turkey butts? Hey, man, like fire here? I got matches. Flip, zip, 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 And
you know what? That needs to go from this level way up here and filter all the way through, because there's a lot of that crap that goes on at.
But the ideology of torturing people is a no-no. It has been since forever. What we need to do is to concentrate into the area of rehabilitation. And that rehabilitation is very simple. It's total and complete. The person is not the person they went in as they are a new person when they come out.
Okay. Okay, the next question is, why would they need to vote on treason charges when there's ample evidence? Seems like the courts...
Well, because you they done. That's why.
Say that again. We kind of lost you for a minute. At least I did.
You want to have the charges so that they can be held accountable for what they've done. It's real simple.
Ah, okay. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's good. I like that.
Now, here's the deal. In treason sentencing, the administrative legalist, which would be the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, has absolute and full discretion as to sentencing. What that means is that he can say, "You go down. Is there an ET rep?" And the guy in the audience will stand up and say, "It's me. Take this turkey down and get it fixed." See what I'm saying?
Oh, wow. Okay. An
Yeah.
ET representative is what you're saying.
Oh, fun, huh?
Wow. Okay. All right. Why does Congress have a license to lie and immunity from prosecution if they do, like Schiff?
Schiff does not have immunity from prosecution because of what he has done at the level he's done. That goes into felony treason, and he has been tied recently to the Bidens in terms of the corruption involved with all of that. That's good. They've got documentation now, and so it's a very short period of time. They will give. They probably sentence Joe because he's dangerously stupid, but his son, his son probably will defer even prosecution if he unloads on these turkeys. So that means we got Mr. Schiff doing the bye-bye to the cooler routine for a long period. If they decide to allow him to retain his citizenship and residency in this country. If they decide they don't want that, then he gets shipped. He can go to Mexico or Canada, but he can't be in the States, period.
Wouldn't break my heart.
Oh, well.
Exactly. They should be considered to be under oath any time they're in front of a camera or microphone or in the halls of the Capitol and in their hearings. Will that be changed? In other words, nobody should have this kind of immunity that they've had in the past.
That's what I say. It seems like it, but what you have to remember is that this is a thing of the press, and it's not a as such so-called full legal expression of what they're saying. In other words, yeah, but it's also hearsay. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't carry the legal weight that something on record does. So they can continue to do what they want. Now, in legal matters, there's one little caveat on immunity that I really don't appreciate. Officials, no matter what level or what agency or whatever they're with, can outright lie to individuals. And that is not a crime. But if you lie to them, it is.
How's that work? That's not right.
Well, I know that needs changed. There's a whole bunch of things that might be lawful but ain't legal, or might be legal and ain't lawful. And
yeah.
Almost all of the stuff in between is immoral.
Thank you. I couldn't agree more. Let's see. Is Adam Schiff human?
Mostly.
Same question for Nancy Pelosi.
Mostly.
When you say mostly, what's that mean?
Well, Schiff gave himself away when he came out with that first pop-eyed look where it looked like his eyeballs was popping out of his skull. He definitely told the whole world that he is an escapee from the Twilight Zone.
Okay. Oh, let's see.
Oh, yeah, and they did a thing on Facebook where that old movie, Mars Invades.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Well, they got the main woolly booger from Mars right there with the same pop-eyed look that Schiff does, and they look alike.
Okay. Yeah, I saw some pictures of him with reptilian-looking eyes and some pictures of Nancy Pelosi, the same thing, that they're not really human.
A lot of people don't like Schiff very much.
Well, geez, small wonder.
Imagine that.
Yeah. Okay. We already did that one. It says if President Trump is impeached by the House, but the Senate doesn't convict him, could he run for a third term? None of that's going to happen anyway, I don't think.
Well, he's he's only going to get 2 years out of the coming term.
Okay.
And you'll find out why when that time comes.
Okay. Yeah, I get that. All right. We've been told that UPS and FedEx have space fleets that pick up and deliver merchandise all over our solar system to Mars 20 and back. Your comments on this, please. Is this true?
Yeah, it's accurate.
It is true. Okay.
Let's put it this way. They can't borrow the money, and they're not making enough money. How the hell do they keep going? There's some kind of fun and games going on in the wood pile.
Okay, yeah. All right. This question, maybe you can make more sense out of it than I can. But I don't quite get it. It says, I know some Muslims seeing entities like the Arcturians, etc., but the Quran says that they are evil. What is going to happen to people who are highly mentally ill in clinics? And I don't see how the two...
Well, the assumption is simple. If you see things, you're crazy. Well, that's not exactly true.
True.
Okay, the second part of it is that people that have mental aberrations will be almost instantly healed, mostly. And I'm talking like 95, 99%, somewhere on there, when somebody flips that switch and we go to 4D. The other part of it is that things that are really serious and critical to the existence of the being that can be fixed will be. So you're going to end up with one 10,000th of all of those involved who can't be helped. So take 10,000 crooks, and one of them is going to just give you the finger as it falls over.
Well, what's kind of funny is I've worked in a mental health hospital, and a lot of the medications that were given to people actually created more problems than they had before they started taking the medications.
Yeah, I think Thorzine's pretty cool myself.
Oh my God. And some of them make them drool and give them tics and all kinds of problems. So psychiatrists got a lot to answer for. But anyway, that's a whole nother topic. I mean, we won't go there. Would the phone and internet still be functioning after the transition?
Yes.
Okay. Are there 20 million draconians under Yellowstone?
No.
Okay. And are they going to have to erupt Yellowstone to get rid of the ones that are there?
No.
That's all BS.
Yellowstone is not going to erupt. It will be a weeper.
Okay.
Similar to the lava flows on the Hawaiian Islands. Okay?
Okay. Do you know who Tom Price with the positive side of 212 is? And are they legitimate?
To some extent, everybody is.
Okay. What is your prediction as to how this transition in global currency reset and RV will go? Will it be chaotic or peaceful?
Peaceful.
When do you see the timeline as being for each step, and can you give us any details? People always want dates, and you ain't going to give
No, I ain't going to tell you when, and I'll tell you why I ain't going to tell you when, because if I tell you when, then the bad guys will know when, and they'll be able to stand there going, no. Remember Khrushchev in his shoe? He's banging on the thingy. Well,
why can't we get that through people's heads? I don't know.
Adam Schiff will be standing up there doing the same thing.
Drake, are there an infinite, never-ending number of universes like multiverses, and is there such a thing as infinite probabilities, timelines, and alternate realities?
That's a pregnant, loaded question.
Yes, it is.
Okay. There's not an infinite number of anything in a particular confine. Now, if you want to know about all of that, quantum physics explains it very nicely. Over here you have water. And at the most extreme away from it, it's still water over here. You go beyond that, oops. Basically, what you want to do is you want to understand that timelines and straight up limitations are not something that are supposedly allowed to be fooled with. When we catch one of those turkeys doing that, we put them on a Mobius timeline. That's your infinity because it's a flat surface. And what we do is we turn it 180 degrees. And so when you run around one side, you end up on the other side. Around the other side, you end up back on the same side again. You can go for an infinite number of turns on the whiz banger and you'll never get to the end of it.
Oh my goodness, that would be not a fun place to be. Okay, is there no such thing as a beginning of time or end of time?
No, time is a quanta. Go check that one out. You want to keep yourself busy for a little bit?
Okay, is it possible to see the past and probable futures? Because like our consciousness is much faster than fly's consciousness. The
speed of thought is the fastest form of relativity there is. Secondly, if an individual studies, does their own homework on themselves, goes about things in the correct manner, that the rules of manners. There was once a lady on TV used to remind you of things. She was called Mrs. Manners. Anyway, the manner in which you go about what you have to do in order to get to the point where you can even tell that there is a timeline also goes to the point of being able to read one, etc. In terms of reading a timeline, you have to be able to experience maybe hundreds of thousands of years. Just as fast as I can clap my hands. Ooh.
Wow.
And nobody can agree, oh, you can't do it. Why? Who said? Who's the dink that says you can't? Whoever has the word can't in their vocabulary has no clue.
Okay. All right. It was funny here because this question includes a fly, and we were talking about flies earlier. And it says, because a fly can move out of the way as you would try to squash it. So is it possible to have consciousness go much faster in terms of time as we perceive it?
Yes, that's why I always hit the fly with the swatter.
Okay.
There's two reasons the fly swatter works. Number one, a fly is very aerodynamic in its reactivity.
Yeah.
Meaning that a fly with its wings spread automatically moves because there's air compression from your hand coming in that squirts it out.
Oh wow! Okay.
The little fly will buzz around over there. You're a dummy, aren't you? And then you go land somewhere. Okay, fly swatter got holes in it so that you don't get that problem. And generally, you can even the faster you get them at the edge of it.
That makes sense. Yeah. Wow. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? That was our last question.
Oh, cool. Does that mean that we can say happy holiday?
That means we can say happy holidays to everyone. Happy Thanksgiving. I hope you enjoyed the show. We had a lot of really good questions, I think. And I'd like to thank everyone for those questions.
I sent you a thing and put it on your timeline, all this other stuff about Thanksgiving. Did you get it?
I have to check. No, I haven't seen it.
Check your Facebook page. I put it on there.
Oh, okay.
And it's all over Cosmic Voice, sent to a bunch of people. It stipulates what the reality of Thanksgiving is and what we can do about it or and with it.
Oh, awesome. I will definitely check that out. I just haven't had time to do that yet. I was getting the questions together for you, so I didn't get to that. But, okay.
Does that mean I got to say bye to everybody?
Yeah, we'll both say bye to everybody. And thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoyed the show. And it's our Thanksgiving show, so thank you, Drake.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me. Bye.
Bye. Bye, everyone. Let me see if I can shut this off now.